I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
Allowance. The money your child needs for their basic functions. The money they expect to get every week because they're your child. You should be paying them, right? Well, some children growing up, they have regular expenses like maybe lunch money they might have to spend, depending on how your child's school works things out. Or maybe they might have bus fare, depending on if your child takes public transportation. Or they just may want to be able to buy snacks and things at the local candy store. Whatever it is, they expect to have spending money. And so we tend to give them spending money. Now, the thing is, we also want them to do chores around the house. And we expect them to participate in the maintenance of the household as part of the family. But what happens if your child won't do their chores? How do you feel if you're paying them allowance, but then they're not holding up their end of the agreement in terms of household maintenance? What if you have to fuss about making your bed, doing the dishes, mopping the floors? What if you start feeling like maybe I shouldn't be paying you allowance unless you do your chores? Well, for some people, for some families, paying the allowance is connected to doing your chores. If you do your chores, then I'll give you your allowance. And then you have some children who feel like, well, that's not fair. I need money. Why should I have to pay to live here? Why should I have to pay? Why should it have to be contingent on whether I work before I get paid? Why should I be treated like an employee for living in my own house? Well, many parents are wondering whether or not a child should simply get paid because they need money. But do we want our children to feel entitled and never, number one, feel gratitude that we are giving them an allowance? Number two, feel responsible for their part of participating in the maintenance of the household? And three, do we also want them to feel that their work that they do around the house has value? Should a child's allowance be tied to chores? Well, there's a certain way that we did things in our household. But sisters, let's hear about your experiences raising your children and giving them money and getting them to do chores. Did you have problems with any of that? And if so, how did you handle it when they felt like they should be paid whether they did any work around the house or not? What do you think?
What a funny question. Should they get paid for doing their chores? Well, Paul did say in the scriptures, if you don't work, you don't eat. But taking this down to the level of whether a kid's chores should be tied to their allowance, I have two kind of different opinions about that. First of all, I feel that if your child needs bus money and lunch money, that should be separate. That should always be there, in my opinion. Now, chores around the house, there are certain obligations that as part of this family, you need to contribute. I'm not paying you for making your bed or cleaning your room. That's an important obligation that you need to be doing already. And when it is your turn to do the dishes, I don't want to hear a lot of fussing about it's not my turn and I just did them, or so and so does less dishes than I do because people eat more on my night, and none of that crazy stuff.
People, you eat more on my night.
When my kids were small, I would have little scriptures on the mirror in the bathroom that said, "Do all things without grumbling and complaining." And anytime I heard any back talk, I would send them and say, "Go to the bathroom, look on that mirror, and tell me what it says." So The only thing that really caused a lot of conflict was dishes and whose dish night it was. But the threat of saying, if you do not do what is expected of you, you will not get an allowance. And an allowance was the extra money you got outside of your bus fare and your lunch money. So that was always separate, that was always set aside. But they always wanted to have money for extra things, like you said, Naima, like treats, doing stuff with their friends, being able to stop by the store and buy little junk stuff on the way home, from school. Or if there was some kind of sale at the school and they wanted to buy something extra, like maybe there were extra books that I was not going to pay for, but they wanted to buy something at the book fair, they could use their allowance for that kind of thing. I think it is important for parents to be able to instill in their kids the work money relationship, how you learn the importance of valuable work, and then you are compensated for that. Things to me like mowing the lawn, shoveling snow, taking out the garbage. I think those were extra because those were jobs that were seasonal, that were required a little more work. I know that I would pay an outsider to mow the lawn or come and shovel out my driveway or something. So I felt like if I had my kids do those kind of things, I was willing to pay them extra for that work. And John was really good at saving his money. The girls, not so much. As soon as they got like $20, they're ready to run to Three Sisters and buy some shorts and tops and stuff. But I think it is important to give kids a sense of value, that they should be able to have an allowance. They should be able to earn their allowance by doing things that are required of them, while at the same time withholding that allowance if they don't do what is required. Remember, they already got their bus money and their lunch money. I'm not obligated to pay you for doing what you're supposed to do as a member of this family. Cheryl?
Okay, now I'm like totally all over the map, and I will tell you why. I had one chick, and from a point of privilege, we did not have to worry about allowance. When Sarah needed something, she just got it. Dishes weren't a problem because we had a dishwasher. It was more or less who's going to load or unload. Clean your room. Yeah, you can clean your room, but we had cleaners that came in every other week too. So there was a certain level of privilege, which I don't brag about. I was just lazy. I just felt there was no reason for me to do housework if I could pay somebody to do it, because I didn't like doing it. So, but as one who also supports a universal basic income, I think allowance is very important. If you have kids and once, like Barbara, like you said, once they have their basic needs met, it's good for your kids to have allowance so that they understand money, because a lot of kids don't understand money. Case in point, I have already talked to my lovely daughter about spending money faster than you get it, because and that's on me, because I also had poor impulse control. And if you're used to getting what you want, you never understand that money is finite, that it's not infinite. And because I always had that feeling of, as long as I'm working, the money is infinite, I never really thought about, okay, you need to learn how to save. Now, we did try to get her to learn how to save. We gave her allowance and said, okay, you put some, like they say, put them in 3 jars, one for long-term spending, one for, short-term, and one for, just, okay, I'm going to do this right now. And that's a good way of teaching your kids how to manage money. And like you said, Barbara, now John was very good about saving his money. And you notice, if you teach your kids that, okay, this is the money you want for your stuff, not for things like clothes and things that they're basic needs, because that should be part of the universal basic income. But I think that if you teach them, the point of allowance is more to teach them how to manage money, and how the there is a reason that you save the things that you want. And if you can do something extra, chores or something, and earn more, that's great too. Now, do you put that with chores? Yeah, you still got to make your bed. And I did say, yeah, you have to make your bed. In fact, our forever first lady, and we don't have to say, but that's Michelle Obama. She was saying when she moved into the White House about how her girls still had to make their beds,
Yeah.
because they had servants. She says, well, they could make mine, but the whole point is for to teach your children there are basic things in the house that need to be done. You are part of this family, and as part of this family, you need to do that. Now, Sarah always says, well, I didn't ask to be here. And I said, you know what? Not for nothing, but nobody did, so you're not special. So,
Or everybody did, and you're still not special.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is yeah, I don't necessarily think that chores and allowance should go hand in hand. But on the other hand, if you're not doing your basic stuff, why should you be rewarded? And that's the part of that push pull of
Yeah.
universal basic income. That yes, we all should be getting something that is less than a livable wage, but something that says, okay, I can buy the things that I need. And yeah, they're always going to need something. School trips, that extra whatever, maybe you give them a little bit extra money so you don't have to go door to door and sell wrapping paper with them or whatever. But or all the other school functions that I had to sell. But I think you need to press upon them that your allowance is for you to learn about money.
Right.
Most of all, learn about how to manage your money. And while the stakes are still low, when they're small and when they're middle school and high school, when the stakes are still small because they're not needing, assuming they don't need that for the household itself, I think that you need to teach them about uh financial awareness, because I think too many of us, we live paycheck to paycheck because we've never learned how to save. Maybe it's because we don't make enough, but we also never learned how to squeeze that $20 until the person on it screams. So we need to teach our children financial acuity.
Responsibility.
Yeah, and responsibility. But they also need to be responsible for living in the house with us, and being part of the family. And if you have to do the waters, which is us, because we have refillable water bottles, if you have to do that, that's part of your chores. Don't fight about it, just do it. It's a 3-minute job. Make your bed every day, because somebody says even if you have a bad day, you come home to a freshly made bed. There's certain things that you just do as a responsible person, and getting them ready for adulting, which nobody wants to actually do once they get there.
That's a big thing, though, because I find that many marriages break up because one or both of them never learn basic household management in terms of maintenance, how to keep things clean, how to organize a closet, how to sweep a floor. You just assume people know these things, but maybe they didn't because they really never were taught for whatever.
Or that the woman will naturally do that. We don't come out of the womb doing that.
Yeah.
We don't come out of the room with a sponge in our hand.
Yes.
Some people will not teach their boy children how to do household chores. And then you get in a marriage and you're both working, but only one of you is coming home and cleaning the house and cooking the food. And I've seen more divorces over that. So now women are understanding that this upcoming generation needs to do better, and they need to teach their sons how to wash the dishes. Even you got a dishwasher, you still need to know how to wash dishes.
You still need to know how to load and unload it.
Learn how to Learn how to clean a cup that you have drunk out of. Real basic things, you know. Learn how to pick up after yourself. Learn how to wipe a table off. Learn how to sweep a floor, and learn how to put the dust in a dustpan. I mean, basic things that women had not been teaching their sons, but making sure their daughters knew. Well, that's not going to work now because everybody's working outside the home. So everybody needs to work inside the home, and they need to have the skills of how to do it. So now what I did in my home, and it's funny about that dish thing, something about those dishes. Now what I did, I made a list of every single household chore, and it turned out to be 33 things. So what we did,
Move.
myself, my husband, and my daughter, each of us had 11 chores. Now that one chore left over was the dishes, and we decided to rotate who would do the dishes. So every day we rotated. Okay, this is your turn. This day is your day. Tomorrow, this is your day. So that way everybody did the dishes. But then they all always had their 11 chores that they had to do all the time. These are your chores.
Mm-hmm.
Never had a problem with the chores that people had to do, because I wanted there to be a sense of responsibility for maintenance of the house, that everybody's responsible for that. That's just what it is. You're responsible because you live in this house. Now, when it came to do the dishes, my husband Sultan and my daughter Zakia, they both would come up with a bright idea when it was their day to do the dishes. You know what we should do? Why doesn't everybody just wash their own dish every time you use a dish? That way we won't have any dishes.
What about the pots and the pans and the skillet?
Yeah, somebody got to do this. See, that's the thing. You know, whether you're going to have whoever cooks just wash the dishes after you've cooked. I mean, come on now. Just do the dishes on your day, okay? So, yeah, but that was always the thing. Nobody wanted to do it, but they did it anyway. You know, they had kicking and screaming, had to drag them into the kitchen, but they all did their dishes on that day. But now when it came to allowance, like you say, your child has some basic things sometimes. With Zakia, when it came to lunch money, her school had a thing where you paid your school fees, and then in that was the lunch fee. So she didn't have to pay, she didn't have to carry money for lunch every day. They gave them an ID that basically said, okay, you paid your fees.
And yeah,
Right.
Yeah, so they didn't have to worry about that. Bus fare, where she was in walking distance, so she either walked to school or if we was rushing, she got a lift, you know, to get there, but it wasn't that far away, so she didn't have to deal with daily bus fare. So her only expenses was whatever she would want to get in terms of a treat or whatever. So, and she was always being given money, you know, by her grandfather or whatever. You know, she always had money, and we set up with a bank account because I wanted her to learn about, you know, your money, and this is your money. Nobody can take it out but you. So we set her up with that. I think she was 7, and any gift money she got went into that account. Now, also what we did with Zakia, because we have a video production business, and she would actually go out with us on the crew, and she would be working the camera and everything, and she got her cut of the money when we either did the videotaping, or if we got paid to duplicate and package the videotapes, she got paid her cut for that. So she got paid, and I wanted her to understand work and pay. So this is your job. You're working a job. We've hired you. You get your payment for the job you did. And then separately from that is your responsibility in the house. These are your chores, and you're going to do these because you live here. So I wanted her to see household responsibility as part of what you have in the household that you live in, and your work that you do, you deserve to get paid for that. And your money that you earn, you got a bank account that's your account that you put it in. And then I would take her with me to go and pay the bills so that she could see the connection between, you know, what we use in terms of electricity and gas and all that. This is what it costs. This is why we work. This is what we pay for. So she would see the whole thing. Now, when she got to be a teenager, and you know how you buy your children clothes when they're younger, and she would want to get stuff and buy things that I didn't think was practical. Once she started working, she made some very good decisions about getting bargains and everything else, because it was her money that she was earning, that she had in her bank account. She didn't blow her money. Now, she would easily blow ours, but she would not blow her own, because she understood the value of it. It was her money, And she, to this day, is very sensible, very frugal. She will look for good deals. But another thing also, by her seeing that connection between working and earning, she became very entrepreneurial. And when she was in between jobs, she set up an online business where she was selling housewares and making money. I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice. And I would even go with her and pick out, I didn't know how to do this, but she had a skill of picking out things that would sell, and she would sell them online. So she kind of knows about the connection between work, money, saving, earning, making good business decisions, but also responsibility in the household. If you live there, you got to help maintain it. And that I think that worked in terms of preparing her for adulthood.
It's also funny because if you don't teach them that, you're part of the household, the first time that they live by themselves, they don't realize that nobody's picking up after them.
Yes.
Like you'll walk by and you'll see this thing and it's still on the floor, and you suddenly realize, oh, you know what? I gotta pick that up, or it's gonna stay here forever because nobody's picking up after you. And you know how mothers always fussing about, I gotta pick up after you kids. That's why you teach
doing it. Right, because you didn't teach them to fussing about doing it isn't the same as teaching them how to do it.
Yes,
that's what you have to realize. If you're fussing at your child, but then you steady making the bed up, I told you to make this bed up, you making it up. You just taught them that if they wait long enough, you'll do it. They can ignore it.
Exactly right. That's exactly.
I had a friend who did an experiment. There was something that had spilled on the floor, and she was waiting to see who would clean it up. And everybody, and she had like 4 kids, 4 older than like middle school, and a husband, and everybody was walking around this puddle all day long. And we were having this discussion, and I said, the truth is, they don't see it. You see this accident here. Whoever did it probably is trying to get out of having to clean it up. And she said, okay, I am not cleaning this up. And so, but it went a couple of days, and finally she could not stand it, and she ended up cleaning it up. And another thing that I found to be funny, one of these books about helping your family learn how to clean up, and one of the instructions was not to, if it was your husband's job to take the garbage out, don't empty the garbage. Let it sit there and pile up until he comes to get it. And so what happened in these crazy experiments is the garbage would pile up higher and higher until it was falling out on the floor. And then I remember, here I'm telling on Eric, I remember putting the garbage in front of the door so that he had to see it on his way to work and take the garbage out to the dumpster. And you know, he would move the bag out of the way and go right around and go on out. And I'm like,
yeah, that was
don't really work. You know, you have to say, could you take out the garbage?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to say it because, but that was Sultan's job also to take out the garbage. That was his job. But I had a list of everybody's job on the refrigerator. I had everybody's job listed on the refrigerator. So if something wasn't done, oh, wait a minute, the garbage not taken out. Whose job is it? Sultan. There it is, black and white. Your job. The garbage piled up. So
I ain't got time for that.
He helped me from, there it is right there. We don't have to ask. Your name is a garbage takeout. Take out the trash. Sultan. Why are we got 3 bags of garbage still in the house?
Waiting for them to walk out by themselves. And we have talked about, should your kid get a pet? Barbara, that reminded me of the fact that's why I always say, don't get a pet until mom wants a pet. Because the first time they get a dog, for that first 2 weeks, everybody wants a dog. And then when you got to house break that dog.
Yeah, you got to poop. Nobody wants a dog.
The first person who sees when they make a mistake, when they make an accident, cleans it up. All of a sudden, these people can walk around like this. Because they don't see the pee and the poop on the floor because nobody wants to clean it up. So those people, they do see it. And, and they will, because they manage to avoid it. So if you can walk around something, you know that it's there. So that's the thing. And so you have to spell it out really clearly with your kids. You will pick this up. And, If it's everybody's job when the garbage gets full. Now that's when it becomes Naima. That's when it becomes a problem because they can just keep on waiting and stuffing it down and putting stuff on top and opening another bag until it's it's not full yet. You know what? If this thing can walk out here and this is a hazardous waste zone, we're gonna fight. You
Well,
know.
this is why no matter how frustrated you get, do not go ahead and do the chores anyway.
Yeah.
And fussing is not going to help because they will learn. You have taught them that if they wait long enough, you'll go ahead and do it, and you'll fuss about it, but you'll go ahead and do it. So I don't care how bad it gets. Do not do the chores and then fuss at them about it because then they've just trained you.
Yes, exactly.
And that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do because you will wait until, and you will have to fuss about it, and then you will have to start taking things away like, oh, I'm sorry, there's no internet today because the garbage hasn't gone.
Yeah,
right.
Privileges
start disappearing.
Your phone's not working. Oh, and you got homework. Oh, I'm sorry, but the trash isn't out yet. Oh, your bed isn't made. Sometimes you have to be a little bit creative until they figure out. Tell them what they need. Don't just give them the silent treatment so that everybody's guessing why is mom mad.
Yeah. Say what it is. Explain why they're losing a privilege or whatever it is. Your bed's not made. And don't listen to excuses. Well, I'll just get back in it anyway.
Yeah,
that's not
really.
I just heard that excuse.
We've all heard it and done it.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But they had
to remember once Eric was looking at Lavinia's room and said, I want a clear path from this side of the room to the other side of the room. And then she tried to get away with just shoving stuff aside. No, this stuff has to be picked up.
Yeah. You didn't say that. You said you want a clear path. Here's your clear path.
And of course, cleaning isn't always easy. Naima, you and I know all about the don't know where bags.
You got so much stuff you don't know where to put it.
We don't know where to put it, and we don't know where it goes, but you can't throw it away. I don't care what you got to do, but make them clean. If cleaning the room is their stuff, say, okay, you're gonna have don't know where bags, and maybe that might have just been us. But you put all that stuff in a bag, and then you're gonna go through it. And okay, now let's go through all this stuff bag by bag until we figure it out. But
and if you even need to keep it,
you might need to toss it, but
don't tie their universal basic income to their chores, but make sure that they do their chores, and if they don't, then they
have some consequences.
They have consequences, so that you're not fussing, and as you taking all the stuff out to the trash, and doing your dishes, and just being mad all the time.
Right. Don't do their chores. We gotta go. But of course, we want you all to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave your comments. Did you tie your children's allowance to their chores? Did you even make them do chores, or did you just give up and fuss and do it anyway?
Did you just pay somebody?
Then do your children know how to make a bed because you paid someone else?
Yes.
Well, we got to go, but we will see you next week. Make sure you tune in and share this show with your friends. Until next week, I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Barbara. We are 3 Black moms. Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms.